Right, here we are again underneath the Cerbera, a familiar sight. So, what's gone wrong? Well, it looks like I've trashed the seals on the slave cylinder. Didn't read the instructions. You should read the instructions. Basically, I've overextended it, and the seals have become damaged, and yeah, now it's just pissing out fluid. So, what to do? Well, I've got to try and pull the gearbox out. Now, I've read a lot about this, and what I'm seeing ties in with what I've read. That is, it's very tight, very tricky to get the bell housing out from in between. Basically, if you look here, you've got the two exhausts. You look how tight that is to try and get the gearbox out. Yeah, very tricky. So what's the solution? Well, I'm thinking the solution is I've got to drop lower down the back end of the motor and gearbox, basically tilt the motor down on an angle. That'll give me a bit more room up above the gearbox, so I can basically pull the gearbox back, lift it up a bit, and then slide it out. At least that's the theory. Whether that actually plays out in real life, I don't know. Maybe this will end up as a motor out job. I hope it doesn't, but yeah, that's where we're at. So what's the first step? Well, drop the exhaust, drop this plate. I'll probably drop this plate just so I can see if there's any problems with this sort of the front of the motor fouling on parts of the frame, because obviously if you put the engine on an angle, things might hit, things that you don't want to hit. So yeah, that's the plan. So first step of the day, start dropping exhaust and go from there. Yeah. Alright, so I've got the exhaust off the various covers. I haven't dropped the tail shaft yet. It's going to be a pain in the backside, but I'm thinking I'm going to lower the car down and disconnect the clutch lines, probably take off the air boxes, maybe look at taking the fuel pressure regulator off, because that's right at the back of the engine, and if I'm going to tilt this thing down, that may hit, but we'll see what happens. Alright, so here's where we're at. Got the tail shaft out, shifters disconnected, reverse lights unplugged. Now what I'm going to do here first is I'm going to take the gearbox out of the bell housing, and then try and get the bell housing out, and getting the whole lot back in one piece. Well, that's a problem for another day. That's where it's going to get tricky. So as you can see, I've just got these two bolts here that I've backed off. It is starting to move, so I'm fairly confident with an assistant I can wriggle this thing out. Maybe. It looks like it's going to be very tight at this end, but yeah, we'll see. Hopefully once I pull it back, see how we go. Can I get to any header bolts there? Not really. Maybe it will be an engine out. I don't know. See how we go. All right, well, that didn't work. As you can see, there's between these mounts here on the chassis and my exhaust headers, there is no way this gearbox is coming out without the motor. I did manage to get it separated, as you can see, and move back a little bit, but no, not happening. So now I have the rather absurd situation where the motor's hanging by cable ties to the chassis, and I'm gonna have to, well, the back of the motor's held up with there's not actually much strain here. This is, you can even move that block of wood, that's holding this ratchet strap's holding the back of the motor up. So now I'm gonna have to prepare to pull the motor. First thing I'll do is I'll take these oxygen sensors out because they're in danger of getting whacked, and then I'll lower the car down and I might drain coolant first, disconnect some oil lines, drain the oil, all that fun stuff. Actually, I probably snookered myself there. I'll probably have to put the stand back underneath while I do the oil. But yeah, that's where I'm at. A little unfortunate. I thought I might be able to pull it off. Actually, I could. Actually, I might take the bell housing off. Because if I can leave the gearbox there, put the bell housing back on, maybe I can avoid having to remove the motor. We'll see. All right, well, I'll start with that. It doesn't cost me anything to pull the bell housing off. Yeah, maybe there is hope. All right, so had a rethink, and yeah, it's not going to happen. I may be able to get the bell housing out from here, but there's bolts up the top there that there's just no way I'm going to be able to get them back in with the gearbox attached, and just going to make a mess of things trying to do it that way. So yeah, she's engine out. At least I've had a bit of practice, so it shouldn't be that big a deal. Alright, so motor is sort of out, mostly out. Yeah, as usual, if you don't know, these things are a very tight fit. Most of my trouble was with these, again, with these, and frankly I've had enough of these. I think I need to come up with a two-piece setup, something that joins here somehow. Not sure exactly how. I'll have to have a think about that. The thing is, you can loosen these off, but there's not enough room, especially on this side where you've got the steering columns basically going there. You can't just take them out. They're wedged in place. So yeah, they really need a bit of a redesign. Yeah, the other one's on the floor here somewhere. But yeah, she's out again. Gonna go over here on the bench once we've made a bit of room. But yeah, and I spoke to the people last night who are sending me the tilt and seal kit, and they realised they forgot to send it, so that's on its way. I'm actually going to put a new clutch in it this time. Some of you might have seen before, I elected to just put the old clutch back in because it had plenty of meat left in it. Oh, here we go. Here's Jaguar Joe, special guest star, handing me the engine plate so that I don't know how I'm going to do it. I really need to, yeah, I don't know, make something here and split it in two. Oh, sorry, something here, and so I could put two pieces of flat bar there and
bolt it together.
Yeah, I'll just slice it in half and have flat bar each side and bolt it together. But yeah, I reckon that would work. Well, it'd work on this side, wouldn't work on that side. So you could get 3 bolts. You could get 3 decent sized bolts in there. Maybe even captive nuts. But anyway, it is actually made a little easier if you can undo these, but obviously when you tighten the engine mount up, it tightens that up in there. So oh geez, that's hanging. It's a friction grip. All right, I better get this on the table. Yeah, see you again in a minute. All right, so motor is out, as you can see. Now, part of the, I guess, the downsides of having this style of clutch slave is that once you pull the transmission out, this thing here, well, it's just free floating. So you're never ever going to line up the transmission and put it back in. So yeah, what I'm doing here, I'm taking the bell housing off, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to hook up this clutch slave to the line in the car and basically bleed it and just visually verify where it is that it's leaking. I don't want to go through all this and find out that I've got a leaking fitting somewhere, or you know, something other than the leaking clutch slave. So yeah, even though, well, looking at it now, everything's dry on the lines, but and yeah, I guess maybe well, I'll get this clutch bell housing off anyway. Alright, so I've got the bell housing off, and as you can see in there, you can see the mess just sprayed up inside there, or maybe you can. So it looks like the leak's definitely coming from in here somewhere. Oh, I just want to make sure it's not leaking from these things, you know, because if it's leaking from them, well, new seals on the slave is not going to change anything. So yeah, next step, take that out, reconnect it to the car. I'm going to put I'll put some cable ties around this just to hold it in position, and yeah, just pressure it up and see what happens. Alright, so pretty much nothing's happened since my last little take there. Got this all apart. I just got an email from the shippers for my new clutch, asking for an asbestos declaration from for the Border Force. Yeah, the Australian Border Force. I'm pretty sure they don't ever, no one uses asbestos in clutches anymore, but they're onto me, so I've had to fill out a declaration. We'll see what happens. Last time with my brake pads, they gave me a fair bit of grief, but I had to email forms backwards and forwards and get an actual form from the manufacturer and so on and so on. A bit of a headache, but yeah, well, you know where I'm at with this. And I just went down the coast, because I live fairly near the ocean here in WA. Went down the coast on the scooter there with my daughter this morning, and it was like a complete glass off, beautiful sunny day, and I thought, man, I've got to get this jet ski going. So I don't have the parts I need to progress any further on this. I'm not, you know, obviously not abandoning it, but I'm going to transition to doing some jet ski work. Get the jet ski up and running, ready for its maiden voyage, or maiden voyage with me on it. And yeah, that'll be my next video. But stay tuned for more Cerbera stuff in the future. And thanks for watching.